Hey, this is Ben.
This is Mark.
And I'm Daniel.
We're in Nothing More, and you're hanging with Rob from Front Row Live.
This new album, like when I first met you guys, like that was what I said. I was like, this album is just ridiculously awesome. Like I keep listening to it, and to this day I still listen to it. But what do you think it is about album number 5 that allowed you guys to get that mainstream success that you guys got?
I mean, I'd say it has a lot to do with maturity. Really, just growing in anything you do. You hope that you get better, and then you get smarter, and kind of, I don't know. You just that we grow as artists, and we can kind of take more risks on one side of things, and still at the same time just like really dive further into what we do. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, like Mark said, I think it is just a lot of maturity, and really the self-titled record was our first like announcement to the world who we are, and that took us from like 0 to here, and then I don't know. Fortunately, we didn't blow it on the stories we tell ourselves. So now that everyone kind of you just start kind of talking about a band, and even if you haven't listened to them yet, they're kind of on your radar. And then with the follow-up record, I feel like really able to take over a much bigger section of the pie. So, and yeah, as far as mainstream success, it got those 3 Grammy nominations, which was out of the blue and incredible. So I don't know. We're really honored to be where we are, and we're at a good place. We have a good team behind us. Everyone around us is awesome, and we're just shooting for the fences.
Right. Now with this record, you guys also self-produced it as well, right? But aside from doing it yourself, there's a name that I saw on this record as well that I see consistently, Will Hoffman. I see consistently on your writer credits or like producer credits. What is the relationship with Will Hoffman and the band, and what is it about him that he's basically the only, constant producer for you guys?
Yeah, we met Will, I think around 10, 11 years ago. He was actually working with Dan's older brother's band, and we really liked their recordings and his producing on them. And so we hit him up, and we clicked, and he we did 3 songs with him on The Few Not Fleeting, and then he kind of watched us for a year and really liked and thought that he could kind of take it to the next level. It's like, okay, they're making the right mistakes, like how they need to and how they correct themselves, how they pick themselves up. And really, he thought it was worth his time to kind of come in. And since then, it's been a really synergistic effect that he's just kind of become the invisible band member on the creative side of things and on the business side of things, because he was in a band before, and so he has that mindset, and he's toured a bunch. At the same time, like he's very business-minded, right. So we completely trust him there. So we'll kind of like take a song 90% of the way and then show him, and then really, it's great to have fresh ears, right, on something that,
Sure, especially when you guys are like touring and writing and trying to record at the same time. It's like your minds are not really straight at the time.
You really get vertigo, and you don't know what's right anymore, and you've thought about it so much. That it's great from somebody you respect to kind of give some feedback. It's like, oh yeah, why didn't we think of that? Yeah. And then we go back and we create, and then keep bouncing ideas until we kind of have the final product. And yeah, he's been with us, since those days. So right. Yeah, we're happy with our process and stoked how it works.
Now with the tracks, I love every single track on the record. A song that sticks out to me, Just Say When, is basically the only acoustic song on the record. I felt it worked, but why did you guys feel like that song worked perfectly for this album that was, majority of it was pretty heavy?
It was just like in terms of the flow of the album, we felt like it added a really cool dynamic, just listening through, kind of really breaking it down to like that soft, intimate kind of place. And like as you're saying, that it hasn't been done on any of the previous records, so like this feels right for where everything is, and just what the song meant to Jonny mostly, but kind of to all of us in one way, shape, or form. We just felt really strongly about it, and decided to work it in there.
Right.
Yeah.
And then closing out the album, you guys closed it with Fade In, Fade Out, which is another like incredible track. I mean, I don't know if it's a personal song to Jonny, but or not, or maybe one of you guys, but I feel like that song could just be personal to anybody, just because the idea behind the song. But you know, as you guys got together and created this song, like, what was that experience like? Because it's a heavy song. It's a reality that we don't really want to think about.
No, you're absolutely right. I had kind of started that one several years back, actually, when my wife was pregnant, and we settled on Phoenix being our son's name, and then I kind of got that crossfade idea that, you know, it's like, I'm gonna, in the same way with my dad, you know, I'm gonna watch him fade out, and he's watched me fade in, and you know, you really start kind of where where my dad left off. So in the same way, like, I can only hope that my son leaves starts where I leave off, and then goes to do greater things. Right. And it's the whole story of the Phoenix type of thing too, which was cool. But the song was very different, kind of when I had it, and then brought it to the table. And like anything else, it gets, thrown left, thrown right, really rearranged, and you kind of wouldn't believe the product at the end of the day. Right. But I know, having done that process, that it's going to turn out amazing, and I'm really stoked that these guys were on board with the concept, and as well as everyone else that listens to it, that really connects. You know, it's like, oh man, I just lost my dad, or it's like, oh wow, that I had to pull over because I was losing it and couldn't keep my eyes on the road, you know. And that's all you hope for as an artist, for somebody to really connect with a song and kind of make it their own. Music is healing. It's extremely powerful, and we're stoked to kind of have it be that final track on the album that takes you to 11 or whatever. Right.
And when you're writing a track like that, that's, obviously it's something that's uncomfortable to put out to paper, let alone let the whole world listen to it. So when you write a track like that, like, how do you cope with it? How are you able to release it to the world?
That's a good question.
I thought it was an awesome song the whole time, so I was I was just looking forward to people, especially the ending. I was like, this is gonna rock. So yeah, maybe that's better.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is like kind of a vulnerable thing to talk about, and even when we're songwriting, whenever like ideas are brought up, that's like a vulnerable moment, even though we've done it a million times and we're still friends, and it's like, I'm
sure there's still topics you guys are shy to talk about amongst each other.
Exactly. But I don't know, I didn't have any anxiety about putting it on the record or releasing it or letting those emotions out tied with the band or with this record in particular. And for some reason, I think that we have a natural like talent at writing songs like that. Like God Went North on the self-titled record, I don't know why we went with such a heavy topic, but it was something we all felt, and this like incredible piece of art came from it, Right. And it's not something that always needs to be expressed or shared, but it's cool that it exists. So.
Right. Now, I mean, what was the idea when you guys went into the studio to record The Stories We Tell Ourselves? What was the idea behind this record? Why did you guys want to make the record that you guys did?
Honestly, I don't think we really know the story until later, and kind of after all the songs are out there, we just kind of, like Dan was saying, it's a lot about what we've been through in the past few years and what everybody individually is working on. I had recently become a father. Jonny's going through some marital issues and ended up getting divorced, as well as our own personal journeys spiritually and emotionally, like different epiphanies that we're having. Right. So kind of at the end of the day, I feel like this record in particular, once we got them all out on the table, we looked at them all, and it was really introspective. I felt like the last record was a lot more kind of outward, and this one is kind of like not in therapy. It's like you really look at what you've been through and how you can grow, and like the first track I think says it a lot. It's instead of like telling others like, this is how you change the world, this is how you change the world, it's like, be the change that you want to see in the world, like Gandhi says. So that kind of became like, okay, yeah, the stories you tell ourselves, that being the theme, and it being like, oh man, I can't believe I've told myself this story for 10 years, 15 years, when the actual truth has been like 100% or 180 degrees on the other side of things. And I think we all go through that to I don't know. I kind of covered a lot of ground here.
I mean, it is an encouragement to always seek the truth, if you will, like because you can tell yourself an incorrect story for your entire life,
Right.
And it doesn't get anybody anywhere. But the closer we do get to what's actually going on around us and what's actually going on inside of us, like the closer we are to, I think, just a happier place and some sort of peace.
Now, this was the first record that you played drums on for the recording process. It wasn't Jonny this time around. So, you know, how intimidated was you? You were technically still the new member at the time. So, you know, did that intimidate you at all when you went into the studio with them?
Yes and no. I mean, yes, like I didn't want someone, you know, listen to the record.
Still being shy.
Well, it was kind of, you know, it's always in the back of your mind with something like that. But ultimately, like, I trust that we're all, you know, I think that whatever part I was working on, you know, everyone else is giving me a thumbs up. I feel good about it. If everyone else feels good about it, it's like, cool. That's, you know, it's what we're doing. And just in general with everything on the new album, like, we really tried to just do something different, even with a straightforward part, whether it's sonically with the bass or with the guitar, like how we're doing the guitar, whether it's just one layer or multiple layers. Just the whole thing, we just tried to be different. So I don't know, in a way it was kind of like it was a good timing to, if I was going to do something different, this would be the right album to do it on. Yeah. So yeah, a little nerve-wracking, but working with Jonny was actually great. Like, he was able to be on the producer side and kind of direct, be like, yeah, that this beat's cool, but like this crash cymbal's a little too bright or too dark. Let's switch that out, and just things like that. That I rarely hear comments from producers, because usually it's you know, if it's a guitar playing producer, they'll give me a drum fill idea that requires like 4 hands to do. I'm like, that's just not possible. We gotta pick.
Not realistic.
Yeah. So having someone like Jonny there who's really able to understand and kind of bring the best out of me being able to play something for not just the part, but just how it comes through in a stereo environment, was really, really cool. And I'm definitely looking forward to, now that we've like kind of learned how we work more on that basis, going into the next album, seeing kind of where we start versus, you know, where we finished from the last album.
Right.
Yeah.
Now with Jonny, I mean, there was 3 vocalists before he stepped up to the mic. So, you know, when he did that transition, you know, how difficult was it for the band as a whole? Like, did he already know how to sing? Is that something you guys kind of had to teach him how to do? Is it the same when when you guys went down to write lyrics? Like, did you have to teach him how to write lyrics, or has he always been a part of that?
Fortunately, regarding the lyrics, yeah, we all we work on them together. So we had that going already. And as far as singing, we all did harmony work, so we all sang, and none of us were lead singers. So yeah, that was definitely a ground that he would have to really dive into and immerse himself in to kind of becoming the best at again. And honestly, like, between Dan and myself, it's like he's the guy that's like, man, he can accomplish anything he sets his mind to. Yeah. It's like, and so we completely trusted him we knew that he was going to get there. It was very hard at first, like you were saying, and we definitely saw him fail, if you will, and really struggle just with being in front of people, because being behind a drum kit all the time, it's like you're a lot more
protected.
Yes. Bingo. So it's very different.
Yeah, it's almost better that he didn't know how to sing before, though, because he had no real vocal identity, and he got to actually like custom create this kind of monster, if you will, which is cool. You know, he's a creative guy, and we're at that time, you know, we're listening to a lot of like Fair to Midland was a band we liked a lot, or My Chemical Romance, The Used. You kind of see these frontmen that have great voices, but they also get to play these like other characters. Sometimes it's more like theatrical sounding, and so you know, Jonny kind of went, I think, more down that road, which was cool. You know, because some guys are just born. Some people just out of the womb, these insane voices, and that's usually what their voice is just going to be. That it's going to be that voice, and that's it. But with him, it's just he kind of has like 4 different voices, which I think is cool.
Right. I'm kind of glad you touched on My Chem and The Used, because when I listened to Let 'Em Burn, like, when he goes really high with those screams, like I kind of, it's kind of like a hybrid of My Chem meets Bert. So it's like, you know, I'm glad that you kind of touched on that. So that's definitely like kind of an inspiration that you guys had from the early days.
Definitely. As well as like System of a Down, kind of like you'll hear that in Let 'Em Burn. You hear it in Sex and Lies and in Salem. Kind of all those songs there's a little quirky side to it, a little theatrical, kind of like Dan was touching on earlier. It's fun to kind of go into that mindset and be that character, and I don't know.
Yeah, with guitar and bass, we get to put delay on and really change tones and play different guitars and have you can lose yourself in a soundscape, of different things. So I think the same thing can exist for singers, and those were like the flagship bands that did it. So we loved them for it.
Right.
I think, loved them for it.
Now that you guys have been touring this record nonstop since it dropped. Even prior to dropping, you guys have been touring a lot. So, do you guys feel this record has seen the light of day and it's time to move on to the next record? Or do you guys still feel like this record still has a lot of touring life left?
I think we all think it has a lot of life. Hopefully another year or so on it. Granted, we're all very tired, and and we do want to get back home and kind of reset. But I'm excited that Just Say When is the current single, and it's being pushed, and because it is a new color for us, and it is something that it's like, oh, this band can do this too. We can focus solely on lyrics and melody and kind of let those speak for themselves as far as, and at the same time, there songs like Go to War and This Is the Time that are much more, guitar and bass oriented as far as how they hit people. So there's that, and I don't know. I don't know what the one after this will be. But hopefully, like Fade In, Fade Out would be really cool.
Yeah,
just like a lot of people have really responded, so I think it would only be wise to kind of, okay, let's go for it and kind of, hopefully have it be like a healing song too, like that everybody connects with, and I don't know. That's what I kind of keep repeating myself, but that's what you hope for as an artist, for other people to connect with it and for it to bring, relatability and like healing or whatever to other people. Right. So I hope that we get that chance, that song gets the chance.
Well, thanks for hanging out with me again, guys. Best of luck with the rest of the tour and the rest of the year. We're almost done with this. So you guys be sure to check out Nothing More. If you haven't already, the new album is out now. It's called The Stories We Tell Ourselves. And thank you for watching here on Front Row Live.